Okay, the next section of this first chapter talks about formatting and data analysis. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through the step-by-step instructions here, one at a time. And one thing that I want to note is that, when you're following step-by-step instructions, it's really important that you just kind of slow down, take it one at a time, keep track of where you are. Sometimes these lists right here, there's how many steps here? There are 19 steps, right, that we have to go through to get our spreadsheet to look like this. Okay, so don't get stressed out. Just slow down and do it one step at a time. Okay, so we'll go up to the beginning. And by the way, step one is like 5 subparts. I think they must have needed to do some edits to the book and didn't want to go in and change all the numbers. Okay, so number 1.1, highlight the range A2 through D2 and click the bold button. Okay, so that's number 1. We want to make it bold. Okay, and then we want to click the border button in the font groups and select the border option to achieve the goal of a bottom border on row 2. Okay, so this is our border area here. You can kind of see it. And we are just going to take and grab the bottom border. Okay. Number 3, now we want to highlight A15 through D15, thusly. And we want to make that bold. And now we want to go to the top border because we're going to get the top of that set. So now you can see what it's supposed to look like, and that border is pretty thin. You can't really see it all that well, but you can make it out. Okay, so we're up to 1.5. Okay, and then we take B3 through B14, so column B here, and we want to click the comma style in the numbers group of commands. So that's up in here, right? And so you can either pull down this to choose the number format, or you could choose this from the sort of visual style descriptions here. Okay, and then let's see, since the figures in this range do not include cents, right, because you can't have a fraction of a unit, we have to decrease the decimals, and that's found up in here. So let's see, decrease it down to none. Okay, then we want to highlight the range C3 through C14, and we want to click the accounting number format. Now you can get the accounting number format either by clicking on this $ here or by selecting from the menu. And one thing I want to note, right, there's a difference between currency and accounting. So if we select the accounting number format, it gives us a $ here on the left-hand side of the cell. If we select the currency number format, that $ gets squished up against the values, right? So that's the difference between that. We want to select accounting, 2 decimals. Okay, and then in column D, right, we want to select that whole column, and we want to select the accounting number format there as well. Now, you will notice that something happened here, right? I got a bunch of pound signs in there, and those pound signs show up when the numbers that are within your cells don't fit. All you have to do when you see those things show up, don't freak out, just make your column a little wider. Like that, okay? Reduce the amount of decimals, right? We don't really care. These are all even numbers, right? So we don't care about the decimals there. So now we have this formatted with accounting convention and 0 decimals. Next thing we want to do is number 11 here. We want to highlight the range A1 through D1. And we want to change the color of the background. Okay, so now we're up to number 13. So they say click the blue accent 1 darker 25% color from the palette. So how you do that is, first of all, you go to the background fill menu item here, the fill color. And when you hit the downward arrow, it gives you your palette of colors here, right? And so you pick the blue, and if you just kind of let your mouse stay there for a sec, it'll tell you what exactly kind of blue it is. This is blue accent 1, so we are in good shape. Now we just got to find the 25% darker color. And you'll see that the description of how light or dark the colors are comes up if you just leave your cursor there, right? So we're down to lighter 40%, and then here is darker 25%. Now I forgot to highlight all those cells, and there's something easy you can do. You can grab this paintbrush, which will pick up the formatting and just highlight the cells that you want, and you don't have to go through that whole process again. So that's a little trick. And then what we need to do is enter the worksheet title, which is General Merchandise World. Now, obviously, you cannot see black text against a blue background very well, right? So let's see. You change the font color to be more visible. Click on the down arrow next to the font color button and select white. And then they want you to select this area here and select Arial for the font for this range. Okay, and there it is. And then we want to expand the width of column D to 14 characters. So this is what it's supposed to look like at this point. Now you'll notice that mine does not look exactly like it. I can see that they've used an italic for the header font, so let's go ahead and apply that. Okay, so the next thing that they talk about is data alignment in the Excel context. And the reason why we're going to try to do this is because we still have this issue in column C, right? We don't necessarily want to just expand this column, you know, to be able to fit all that wording, because maybe we have some you know, space constraints when we're making our reports, right? So we need to basically find a way to get the information that we need to get out there within the column constraints that we have. So the first thing we want to do, let's see, what do they have? I need to pick B2 through D2, right? And then we are going to center those, and that's up in here, right? This is the alignment area. So we want to center those in the column. Okay, and then you'll notice that my column header for column C looks pretty bad here, right? So then what we need to do, while we still have all three of those highlighted, is we want to do something called wrapping text. Now, the way that you invoke wrap text, right, is that it's this little button up here, and if you hover over it, it'll say wrap text, right? So we'll just go ahead and click that. And now, right, we have average price. And now we can just widen column C just a little bit so that it'll fit the whole word average, but it doesn't have to fit average price all at once. If we highlight the range, the next thing is to highlight the range A1 through D1, right? And what we want to do is merge those cells and then center the text in the middle of the merged cells. And so you do that through this little button here, right? And so at this point, you know, we are given another sort of breadcrumb to follow where we're supposed to be here. And this looks pretty good, only let's make column B a little narrower so that unit sales will stack. We've got our line below the column headers. We've got our line below the last month and above the totals. So we're in good shape at this point. So let's see what we are up to next. So this next little maneuver here is a really cool Excel trick. And so what we want to get to is to have both a title and a subtitle here, right? And so how do we go about doing that without entering another row? Because you'll notice that both of those lines are contained within just one row. So how do we do that? So we select cell A1, right? And that activates the whole range here. And so what you need to do is position your cursor right at the end of the word world. And then what you do, if you are in a Windows environment, you select the Alt key. If you're in a Mac environment, you select the Option key and hit return. And that gives you a big fat block there. And then you write retail sales in millions and press enter. And now, if you then just increase the height of the row to accommodate what you just did, it gives you 2 rows of text centered in a merged cell. Okay, we're getting there. And so the next thing we need to do to really bring this up to the next level is we need to add some borders to help people navigate what they're looking at. And so what they have you do is select the whole table first, and we want to select all borders. So that'll give it just a whole big checkerboard on the inside. Now you'll notice that there's no borders inside of this merged cell because it's just one cell up here. A2 through D2, we want a thick bottom border there. That's that. I want to have a thick bottom border here. Let's see if that one shows up a little better. And you'll notice that the last one that I selected is the one that's still up there. And then what we want is to take the whole thing and click the down arrow to the right, and you collect more borders at the bottom of the list. And this brings up a sort of a menu option. And what we want to do, let's see, what do they have you do? Left click on the thickest line style and take the outline in the presets and then hit OK, and that should give us a really thick border around the outside, which again you can kind of see that there's a difference in the border width between like this outside one on this side of column D and the inside one on the inside of column D. And so that brings us to the end, right? So now we just want to have all these totals, and the way that we're going to do that is by using the auto sum function. So if we go to cell B15 here, right, and if you are up here in the ribbon, you can either go and grab the formulas tab here and select auto sum, or you can pick that up on the home tab. Either way, let's do what they say. So we'll go to the formulas tab and then select auto sum, and this shape here, right, is the Greek letter sigma, which is used for summation. So we're going to click the down arrow next to it, and we're going to just pick the sum option, and there it is, and it pops up with the actual formula, and it'll give us the sum there. We hit enter, and there it is. 20,755 units of sales. Now the next thing is to go to cell D15, and the reason that they don't have you sum up column C here is because that's not a meaningful number, right? Why would you sum up all your average prices? Doesn't make any sense. We hit the total sales dollars by selecting auto sum here as well. That's 291,000. And then the last thing we need to do is name the worksheet. And you do that by bringing your cursor down to these worksheets and just double click on it, and then you can name it and you can call it sales by month. And we're done. All right, so that is how to make a nice looking table in Excel, which totals up your sales, totals up your unit sales, and provides formatting guidance for people to be able to make sense of your spreadsheet. So that's chapter 1's demonstration of all these skills.